I stood outside the grand ballroom doors, heart fluttering with nervous excitement. After everything I had given up for him, my little brother was finally getting married, and he had invited me, not just as family, but as the sister who raised him, the one who had been more mother than sister since he was 5 years old. I smoothed down my simple navy dress, the only elegant thing I owned. My hands still carried the faint scent of the late-night shifts I had worked for years, so he could have school books, new shoes, and a chance at a better life. I smiled to myself. Today was supposed to be beautiful. Today, maybe, he would finally see me. The usher smiled politely and led me through the glittering reception hall. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. Soft music played. Laughter floated from tables filled with people I barely knew, his new in-laws, rich friends, colleagues from the fancy tech job I helped him land. He had come so far, and I had been there for every single step. My eyes searched for my name on the beautifully arranged tables. I felt a quiet pride. For once, I wasn't the exhausted older sister in the background. I was invited. I belonged. Then the usher stopped at a table near the back, close to the kitchen doors. He gestured to a single chair. On the elegant place card, written in delicate gold script, was just one word: Freeloader. My breath caught. The room seemed to tilt. I stared at that card, willing the letters to rearrange themselves into something, anything else. But they stayed exactly the same. Cold. Sharp. Humiliating. Around me, guests whispered and glanced my way. Someone giggled nervously. My cheeks burned. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. In that moment, everything I had sacrificed flashed before my eyes. The sleepless nights when our parents were gone, the meals I skipped so he could eat properly, the dreams I buried so he could chase his. All of it reduced to one cruel word on a piece of fancy cardstock. But what I didn't know then was that this was only the beginning of the betrayal. I stood there frozen, the place card trembling slightly in my fingers. My brother, let's call him Alex, was across the room laughing with his beautiful bride and her wealthy family. He looked so happy, so polished, so completely different from the scared little boy I had protected all those years. I wanted to walk away. I wanted to disappear. But something deeper than pain kept me rooted there. A quiet voice inside whispered, "After everything, this is how he sees me?" I sat down slowly. The chair felt too hard, the table too far from the celebration. People around me shifted uncomfortably. One woman leaned over and asked in a hushed tone, "Are you family?" I nodded, but the word freeloader sat between us like a wall. Memories flooded in without mercy. When I was just 17 and Alex was 5, our mother left and our father followed soon after. I became everything for him: parent, protector, provider. I dropped out of college dreams. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I cooked, cleaned, helped with homework, stayed up when he had nightmares. I told him every single day that he was worth the world. I never asked for thanks. I never kept score. I just loved him with everything I had. Years later, when he got into a good university, I took extra shifts to cover what scholarships didn't. When he needed a suit for interviews, I saved for months. When he landed his first big job, I cried tears of joy in the bathroom so he wouldn't see how tired I was. And now I was seated like an unwanted guest, like someone who had taken from him instead of given everything. During the speeches, Alex stood up, glowing, and thanked his new wife's family for everything they had done. He mentioned friends, mentors, even distant relatives. Not once did he say my name. Not once did he acknowledge the sister who had raised him. My heart shattered into pieces so small I wasn't sure it would ever be whole again. I felt exposed, small, invisible. Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in front of these strangers. Instead, I sat there with that humiliating card in my lap, feeling the weight of every sacrifice I had made crash down on me. How could the boy I had loved like my own child look at me this way? Had his new life and fancy in-laws made him ashamed of where he came from? Ashamed of me? The pain was so deep it felt physical. My chest ached, my hands shook. But beneath the heartbreak, something else began to stir, a quiet, burning resolve. I wasn't going to cry or cause a scene. Not tonight, because tonight, the truth was going to come out, one way or another. I didn't make a loud scene. I didn't shout or demand explanations in the middle of his perfect reception. That wasn't who I was. Instead, I waited until the cake was cut and the dancing began. Then I stood up quietly, walked over to the head table, and placed the Freeloader card gently in front of my brother and his new wife. Our eyes met. For the first time that night, I saw a flicker of something in his face, surprise, then discomfort, then a hint of shame. In a calm, steady voice, loud enough for those nearby to hear, I said, "Alex, I raised you when no one else would. I gave up my youth, my education, and years of my life so you could sit here today in this beautiful hall with these beautiful people. I never asked for money. I never asked for credit. I only asked to be treated with basic respect. Tonight, you seated me as a freeloader. So I'm giving this label back to you. Because the only person who has taken without giving in our family is you." The table went silent. His bride's perfectly made-up face paled. Whispers rippled through the nearby guests. Phones that had been recording the happy moments now captured something very different. I didn't wait for his reply. I turned and walked out with my head high, leaving the card on their table like a quiet accusation. The next morning, the story had already spread through family group chats and social media. Old friends from our neighborhood reached out, people who remembered the real story. They shared photos of me with a young Alex, stories of the sacrifices I made, screenshots of bank transfers I had sent him over the years when he was struggling. His new in-laws, who valued reputation above almost everything, started asking questions. Hard questions. Within days, the glossy image of the self-made successful son-in-law began to crack. Alex called me that evening, voice shaking. He tried to apologize, blaming wedding stress and his wife's family expectations. But the damage was done. The truth had been exposed in the most public way possible, not by screaming, but by simply refusing to carry his shame anymore. I didn't yell back. I simply told him, "I loved you like a son. But love without respect is just another form of sacrifice. I'm done sacrificing." In the weeks that followed, I focused on myself for the first time in 15 years. I enrolled in night classes. I reconnected with old dreams. And slowly, the pieces of my heart began to heal, not because he apologized, but because I finally chose myself. Looking back now, that humiliating place card was the most painful gift I ever received. It showed me exactly how little I was valued by the person I had given everything to, but it also set me free. If you're watching this and you've poured your heart into someone who only sees you as a burden or an embarrassment, hear me clearly. Your worth is not defined by their gratitude. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to stop carrying people who refuse to carry you. I still hope one day my brother becomes the man I tried to raise. But even if he doesn't, I know I did my part with love, and that love now belongs to me. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that they are enough, even when family tries to tell them otherwise. Until next time, protect your peace. You deserve it.